All right, today we're going to learn about motion guides. I'm going to do Control N to make a new document, and go ahead and click OK. The very first thing I want to do as soon as I make my new document is to right click on that layer and add a motion guide. So if you right click, you can add a motion guide, and now you'll see it put a guide layer on top of my regular layer. And what I want to do is I want to have a ball moving across the screen, so I'm just going to type ball on this layer, and here's my guide layer. So on the ball layer, what I want to do is I want to just use the oval tool, and again, make sure that this object button is checked. You always want to make sure that that's checked. I'm going to go up here, I'm going to select a gradient ball because those are cooler. Hold down shift, and there we go. All right, now technically, yeah, you're supposed to drag this into the library. You can save it as a graphic, call it red ball, pow. So now you have it as a graphic. Okay, it's not completely necessary, but it makes it a little bit easier. All right, so there you go. The next step then is to click on the guide layer and to draw a guide or a path that you want it to follow. And there's a lot of ways you can do it. If you want to make precise, like curves, stuff like that, we learned Illustrator, we learned the pen tool. I can have it follow this curve. So if I want to make a little man walking up a mountain, through a hill or whatever, I can use the pen tool to make a path that way. You can use the line tool as well to make straight lines. So if I want to make an object appear that he's skiing down a slope or whatever, I can do that as well. Okay. All right, the next tool that you can use, obviously, is the brush tool, but I'm going to use the pencil tool because the pencil tool creates skinnier lines for me automatically. And I'm just going to click here for my stroke color and just make it black, and it makes those skinny little lines. Again, I'm just using this type of scribble just to show you in the demonstration, but any path that you make on this guide layer, your objects will follow. Okay, now the next step is to take your object, and this time I'm using a ball, and you need to find that little center registration point. Take a look up at the screen. You see when I click on that ball, that little hollow circle? You want to take that little hollow circle and put it on the tip of the line, or of the path that you just scribbled out. Now, I've done all this because I'm on frame 1, okay? And so what you can do then is to highlight, I'm going to go out to 30. Don't want to do that. Hold down shift and you can select multiple frames. You want to highlight multiple frames and now put in a keyframe at 30. What's the key command to put in a keyframe? F6, there you go. So when you F6, then it puts in a keyframe in at 30. So I'm going to scrub back. Here's my start. And now at my stop, what you'll want to do is move that ball to the end of the line. But again, you'll want to put that center little registration mark at the end of the line. Okay? So I got my stop. Here's my start over here at 1. I got my keyframes in. And now the final step then is to just put in your shape tween or motion tween, whichever one you're going to do. So there you go. If I want this to last longer, obviously I put more frames in than 30. Okay? But now watch when I do Control Enter, the ball follows that path. All right, so that's the simplest thing that you can do. But again, if you use those walking figures that we've been making all week, you can have those follow this path as well. Okay, instead of doing a regular motion tween, you can do a shape tween. That will allow you to change the color, change the shape, change other objects also. Okay, so work with your neighbor and let me know if you guys need help on doing this. So I'm going to go through it real fast one more time. Make a new document. As soon as you make a new layer, right click and make a motion guide. layer 1, call it ball. Drag the ball out. Go to guide layer. Use whatever tool you want to make a path. I'm going to use the pencil tool. Okay. Go back out into your frames. Go to 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. F6 to put in the keyframes. And now you just tell it where you want it to start and stop. So at the first keyframe, you want it to start here, and it should snap right to the end of that line. You go there, go to keyframe at 50 and put it at the end here. Right click, create your tween, and it'll follow that path. Okay, so if that were a snowflake, it looked like it was snowing or whatever. And because I made it a symbol, I can have multiple snowflakes falling in my document. Make sense? Okay. So that is all from me. It is very powerful what you can do with path. So let's see what you can do. In the books that I've been looking at for the demos, it's been showing like race cars going around tracks and stuff like that. So don't just do the ball and the circle. I want you to do the ball following the scribble first, but once you're able to do that, go on to something else more custom than that today. Okay, I'm going to make a folder in the PM locker. I'm going to call it, I think like bouncing ball or something like that. And then I want you to save your Swifts in the PM locker. Okay, and you can continue working on Flash and making something else. Tomorrow we are going to start the fish tank project. Just to let you guys know, I'll be showing you how to bring in stuff from Illustrator and stuff like that though. All right. Okay, that is all from me.